We talked about 11 trillion deficit and borrowing for 2023. How much is the revenue there?
Every couple at this moment matters to the Federation.
Nigeria's projected revenue deficit. House of Representatives gives marching orders to revenue-generating agencies to improve on their mandates. On a seaport in Rivers State to undergo a multi-million naira facelift for more patronage as Transport Minister inspects terminal.
During this exercise, we embark upon elaborate studies along the identified black spots to determine the immediate and remote causes of the gridlocks.
Plus, sensitization on Ember Month. Federal Road Safety Corps set to curtail crashes and deaths on Nigerian roads. Hello, this is NTA Network News, reaching you live in Abuja. I am Jumba Yusuf. Hengino John Adams is in Lagos and Obehi Otobo Apose joins us from Benin. Thanks for joining us. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. Let's start with the legislature. The House of Representatives has urged government agencies responsible for revenue generation, collation and monitoring to improve on mandates in order to bring down the 11.3 trillion naira projected deficit for 2023. It was when the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Hamid Ali, appeared before the Finance Committee to present the service's revenue generation profile. National Assembly correspondent Hamid Ali reports.
The Customs boss told the committee that Nigeria Customs Service hopes to achieve a revenue target of 2.8 trillion naira in 2023. He also presented the performance from January to July 2022.
So far, we have an approved target of 2.272. Up to July collection, 1.167 trillion.
We must do all within our means to harness the potentials within our environment, because, like I stated earlier, every couple at this moment matters to the Federation.
Aside budget deficit, the committee was also concerned about subsidy payments, which will cost Nigeria more than 3 trillion naira in 2023. The Director General Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, was in agreement with the lawmakers that aspirations on economic growth will be difficult to attain when borrowing is at 62% of projected annual expenditure.
We talked about 11 trillion deficit and borrowing for 2023. How much is the revenue there? The responsibilities, I think, are on both sides. Query the various expenditure lines and see what it is we can handle.
Nigeria, therefore, has to improve on revenue generation to reduce borrowings and have lower deficits. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The Senate has urged the National University Commission to get involved in resolving the conflict between ASU and the federal government for students to return to their classes. This was when the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Debt Fund visited the Commission on an oversight visit in Abuja. Mobalaji Moribiri reports.
The indefinite strike action of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has continued to receive attention from the legislative arm of government. Again, the Senate committee set aside to oversight the education sector is at the National Universities Commission to hear their view on the negotiation procedure.
For you and the commission who assign the university who negotiate with us to come out clearly and tell us the truth about those claims, the claims of the ministry against the claims of the ASU.
But we do have anything to contribute, the secretary, we let us do, we choose one officer to work with the subcommittee of education, and all the issues as they review them, they get back to the minister, and the minister gets back to the government at the highest level.
Please ensure that the universities come back on stream.
That is a national call, and that is a huge chunk of your responsibility.
The committee also visited the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, and the National Commission for Colleges of Education, where it gave assurances of continued legislative support for the organizations to deliver their mandate. In Abuja, Mobolaji, Moribiri, NTA News.
Still talking ASU strike, stakeholders are appealing to the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to, as a matter of urgency, find a common ground and resolve the impasse between them in the interest of Nigerian students. This was while reacting to the prolonged strike by the university lecturers in Akure, Ondo State. Tony Bature reports.
While a series of meetings and negotiations between them have been deadlocked, the over 6-month-old strike and continued extensions have left classrooms deserted.
When the strike started, I was not happy looking at how can I accomplish the plan that I have for this year.
Fine, they had an agreement which has not been fulfilled, but I don't see a situation where a worker will be dictating the terms of payment of his salaries to the employee. Why should they say they don't want to be on IPIS?
The impasse is getting prolonged more than necessary, and that has a kind of negative impact on the undergraduates.
According to the respondents, ASU, it must realize that the students and their parents are at the receiving end.
In my home state of Ondo here, our state does not have problems with our universities. It's quite unfortunate they have to join this present strike when the government is not even knowing them. It's quite unfortunate. I'm just looking at a situation where we are just going to decentralize and democratize this ASU thing. Let the management of every university handle their own peculiarities.
I want to suggest that since there is no solution in view, the federal government could do something.
They therefore called for an alternative resolution of the dispute instead of the continued industrial action. In Akure, Toyin Batire, NTA News.
And now we have joining us live via Zoom from Lagos, Alester Wilcox, a public affairs analyst, to speak on the prolonged ASU strike. You're welcome to NTA Network News.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure.
Now, we've been listening to the reports that has been played before this interview. It is no longer news that the federal government has met up to 80% of ASU's demand. But lately, the issue of the 6-month salary arrears is on contention. Where, in your opinion, do the two parties meet, taking into cognizance the prevailing economic challenges and even the labor law?
I think the federal government it's quite tolerant to ASU over the years, and that is why ASU will always want to flex muscle as far as the government is concerned. The federal government is quite tolerant. I mean, most state governments do not tolerate this kind of situation. If you look at some state government that, such as River States, Kogi States, Delta States, these states did not tolerate what ASU is doing, and that is why their own universities are all open. A situation whereby a worker thinks he will go on strike for a long period and still expect to be paid, I think that's the most uncharitable thing anybody. And coming from the academia, coming from the creme de la creme of intellectualism of any country, which is made up of the university teachers. I mean, when such demands are made, then you begin to ask yourself, what actually are these people up to? As far as I'm concerned, when you don't work, you don't get paid. And if over the years, ASU has been having it easy with government, and they will go on strike, and at the end they would need the government to pay them, and they are paid, maybe with collaborators from inside the government, and they are paid. I think it's time that somebody, maybe this government at this time, will stand up to this issue and make sure that these persons are not paid from when they didn't work. You cannot eat your cake and have it. You went on strike, you locked the universities, students do not have students have lost years, a period. Parents are behind the block, and you still want to be paid. Where does that happen? I mean, only Nigeria that nobody can say such trash. And I think it's time that the government take a very hard step on this. And I think Nigerians will support this kind of move so that we don't remain in a circle all the time.
Talking about flexing muscles, do you see the strength of ASU dwindling going forward with opposition groups breaking away? Talking about the Congress for Universities Academics, CONUA, and the pulling out of some state universities from its fold.
Well, I think that kind of breakup is long overdue. There was a time that a splinter group came up, and I think it started from University of Port Harcourt, which was my alma mater. And that group came up, and I don't know how that fizzled out. And I think state universities are also wanting to form their own group, which I think is the right way to go. But you see, I'm for strength, I'm for unionism. I mean, when I was in the university, back when I was in university in the 90s, ASU has been going on strike. I'm sure those lecturers today who are members of ASU, they were in the universities in the 90s when I was there, when their own lecturers were going on strike. And I think at this point, has strike solved the problem? It has not. And so if there is a splinter group within ASU, because you cannot hold everybody to ransom. The conditions are not the same. State universities, if you have problem with the federal government, then you deal with federal government, and not the state universities that are supposed to be running, that has no problem with their own workers, and then you now drop everything. So I think in order to curb some of these things, I think the democratization of ASU is imminent. Maybe the state universities should have their own. Universities should begin to deal with ASU based on university by university cases, because as far as I'm concerned, this becomes a menace. Look, I am sympathetic to the fact that yes, a worker demands its wage, but it's becoming a nuisance to the society. Remember what the ASU president even had to call state universities mushroom, or what I mean, use the term for state universities. I mean, what kind of lawlessness is that? Calling derogating state universities because you are ASU president, and then they expect that those states. Look at Delta State University is working, River State University is working, Kogi State universities are working, so many state universities are working. LASU, yeah, I mean Lagos, LASU is working. So how come an ASU chairman, president will call those universities mushroom or whatever on serious? Whatever he called them, I can't remember those exact words. So I think, for me, it is better for the government to democratize ASU and let there be, if as much groups as want to exist, so that people can hold their destiny. You can't from the center. I mean, we're talking about state police. They've been talking about state police because they felt it was too large from the center. So when a body has become a nuisance to the society, like ASU is making themselves to be, and losing public trust in them, losing public sympathy. Look, when you have taken something too far, then you lost public sympathy. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be paid a commensurate wage. I'm not saying that they don't have legitimate agitation. But when an agitation has gone to the level of you becoming a nuisance, when people can no longer understand what you're agitating, when people can no longer understand the fact that you're agitating for, and you want to strike for upwards of 6 months, and you're saying it's indefinite, and you want the government to go and to do what? To go and print money to solve all your needs. The government needs about 1 trillion to meet all your needs. And you want government, an academia that has the best of economists, the best of brains, that should even advise government on financial matters, are the one that telling government to go and manufacture or print 1 trillion naira to solve, so that they can have their problems solved before they go back to school. I think that is, that's rascality taking too far. And I would be so sad. I'll be so sad personally if this government will accede to the demand of paying them the salary upon which they didn't work. I'll be very sad. And I think Nigerians will be very sad, because you do not work, you don't expect to be paid. And you cannot decide for your employer how you are being paid. An employer decides to pay you either by cash, by check, or whatever means. It's not your duty to determine. So let us go back to their drawing board and know that they are causing a nuisance to themselves and to the society. And if you ask the question, my dear sister, ask the question, what have the universities contributed to national development? Where are the researches that could have made them make money? Nigerian started university system 1949. Please tell me one tangible research that the whole professors, the whole kingdom of academia has produced for Nigeria that can earn revenue for Nigeria. Which one? It's a sinking place. It's just a dump ground. The universities are unproductive. They only produce graduates. When I was in school, they said we are half-baked. In the 90s, we are half-baked. Okay, in 2002, in 2020 now, 22, what are they producing? 1/10 bake, and then you're happy, and then you're flexing muscle. You're not having an introspection to the fact that we are not producing what we're supposed to be producing. The research grants are not, the research results are not there for us to market and make money for the universities. No, nobody's talking about that. It's only talking about,
Mr. Alistair Wilcox, we thank you so much for your insight. You've raised a lot of pertinent questions, and we hope that they will come to a compromise so that the students can return to the classroom. Thanks so much.
I do hope reason will prevail on them, and I do hope the government will have a strong stand with respect of payment of the arrears of the days they didn't work. I mean, that would be a disservice to Nigerians and the hardworking people of Nigeria who work every day and get paid, and those who sit at home and refuse to work and want to be paid. I think that would be a disservice to the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alistair Wilcox. It's been a pleasure having your network news. I've been speaking with Alistair Wilcox, a public affairs analyst, on the prolonged ASU strike. Moving on, participants to the 6th International Culture Summit in Edinburgh, Scotland, were hosted to a civic reception by the Lord of Edinburgh City, Robert Aldrich, at the City Chambers. Anthony Fosun reports.
In the heart of a city founded in 1437, the City Chamber still wears its old look, with all fittings still intact. Among the dignitaries invited for the reception is Nigeria's Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed. Right Honorable Robert Aldrich said the idea of the latest innovation into the festival and summit series is preparing for the future.
Making a planet which will be sustainable for our young people in the future. I was welcoming the fact that the summit wanted to hear the voices of young people, and because they're the ones who are going to inherit whatever it is we shape in the future.
This is a place where many different cultures and many different artists from different cultures come. Cultures from Africa are welcome, celebrated. Cultures from Asia, Europe, North, South America. This is a place that prides itself on really, truly being international in its generosity and the scope of its cultural, its artistic appetite.
It speaks to diversity and tolerance. Every year, millions of people come to Edinburgh because they believe in a society which is free, where they are treated as equal, even when they are different. And that's the lesson of the festival. You connect people more through culture than any other thing, and that's created a huge economy for Edinburgh.
The Edinburgh International Cultural Summit is a biennial ministerial forum established in 2012 by the Edinburgh International Festival in partnership with the British Council. Anthony Fosun, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. When we return, more reports. Don't go away. Thanks for joining us. The return of permanent peace in the Northeast region has given rise to more infrastructure interventions and changing narratives of livelihoods. Central to this development is the stabilization and development of a master plan implemented by the Northeast Development Commission under its 11 goals. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
A region highly blessed with economic potentials but limited by challenges of insecurity and humanitarian crisis for more than a decade, but respite came their way under the Northeast Development Commission with the validation of the Stabilization and Development Master Plan driving the projection to fruition.
The Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan is a holistic roadmap for recovery, stabilization, expansion, and long-term socio-economic development of the Northeast region.
Despite all political pressures, we must invest in areas that are very strategic, transformational, and have long-term impacts in transforming the fortune of the region.
Under this program, several projects cutting across different communities of the Northeast will be rebuilt and hopes rekindled.
The forecasted cost for the implementation master plan is about 32 trillion naira, which is also about 18 billion US dollars within the next 10 years. Then the plan covers over 500 schemes, programs, and projects.
Your earlier inputs have enabled us to produce a robust master plan. We solicit for even stronger synergy in its ultimate implementation.
The forecast for implementation lasts till 2030, and the involvement of key players, communities, and development partners are key to meeting the set goals. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Still on infrastructure development, federal government says it is upgrading facilities at the Onne Seaport in Rivers State to attract more patronage. Minister of Transportation Muazu Jaji Sambo made this known while inspecting terminals at the port. Onayakalu Oka reports.
Onne Ports covers an area of more than 2,538 hectares, spreading across 3 local government areas in Rivers State. It is one of the biggest oil and gas logistic bays in West Africa. Onne Port handled about 80% of Nigeria's export cargoes between 2012 and 2017. It is a fact-finding visit by the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Jaji Sambo, on the reasons why ports in the South-South and South-East are under patronized, while promising to address the problems of infrastructure.
There's a potential here with generating a lot of jobs for our youths. So these projects must honestly resume in earnest. And I will look into it immediately I go back to Abuja. If you are able to continue with this development, you will attract more cargo this way and decongest Lagos. Additionally, you know, Lekki Port is also going to decongest Apapa and Tinkan.
Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko, said adequate security has been provided in the ports for efficient service delivery.
Working with the Nigerian Navy, we have increased patrol along the channel from Boni down to Rivers and Onne ports also. Nigerian Ports Authority has also started the procurement process for purchase of security patrol boats.
The construction of Boni Deep Sea ports will kick off as the problem of location has been resolved. Federal government, he says, is committed to the development of deep sea ports. Oyinakalu Oka, NTA News.
Let's talk security matters. The air component of Operation Roll Punch have conducted air interdiction missions against identified terrorist hideouts at Alhaji Isiaka and Kuduru in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The strikes, as revealed by reliable sources, were successful as 14 terrorists were eliminated, with several others injured, including several terrorists on bikes guiding rustled herds of cattle. Similar strikes were also carried out on the same day at Amchele and Gargash terrorist locations east of Maiduguri, with few surviving terrorists seen fleeing from the point of impact, hiding under nearby trees, which were subsequently attacked. Still on security, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaku Oladayo Amao, says the Nigerian Air Force is determined to achieve a high degree training towards managing current and emerging threats. He said this during the lecture series marking the Security and Defense Week of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru JAS. Indiayang Adeyabagyang reports.
Management of emerging air threats and its implication for strengthening governance in Nigeria, Chief of the Air Staff notes that in spite of the challenges of inadequate air situational awareness, air defense organization and personnel, as well as scarcity of aviation fuel and budgeting constraints, the Nigerian Air Force has built credible capacity to perform intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance and counter-air operations.
We are moving very fast, and we have in all phases of operation they can always bet that the Nigerian Air Force will be able to perform excellently well.
The National Security Advisor represented emphasized the importance of intelligence in governance given the complexities of the security threat environment. He calls for a bottom-up intelligence approach and a robust engagement between security agencies and traditional institutions.
This lecture is not only contemporary, but very important to us all. This is in the light of the dynamics in our security challenges, which requires the need to build a stronger and more resilient security architecture.
Similarly, the chairman and chief executive officer of NDLEA, represented, stresses the need for efficient drug control at the community level.
It requires a whole society approach to ensure that we rid drugs from our streets and from the youth so that we have good governance in the country.
The National Institute, the DG says, will continue to play a critical role in helping to chart a robust policy direction for the development of the country. Indenyan and Abuja, NTA News.
Time to join Hingino in Lagos for the next set of reports on NTA Network. Hello, Hingino.
Mixed reactions have continued to trail the ban on commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada, in 4 more local government areas by the Lagos State government. Correspondent who monitored activities in some of the affected areas reports that there is full compliance.
Following the success recorded on the ban on Okada across 6 local government areas, Etiosa, Ikeja, Surulere, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, and Apapa, the state government in August this year added 4 more local government areas. The affected local government areas include Koshofe, Oshodi, Mushin, and Shomolu. A drive through some major roads and streets in the areas indicated a high level of compliance on the ban. A cross-section of residents in the areas described the ban as a welcome development, but not without reservations.
The ban, but one side, it is for the safety of people. On the other hand, people are taking it, bringing their children. But if you want to reason for the safety of people in Lagos or in these local governments.
So when we look about the around the area now, we know that there's any Okada rider along the local governments. These are our local governments advocating.
The way they injure themselves here is alarming and is not encouraged. So, but stopping them, government should also make provision for them to survive.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has revealed that its ban on Okada riders has recorded 85% compliance in its enforcement and will continue so as to ensure the sanity of the environment.
The decision and position of government on Okada is very clear. Now, we are not compromising on the decision, which is to further consolidate on the achievements made so far, with particular reference to decrease in accident and crime rate, as well as the return of sanity to our communities within the state.
Although the state government has ascribed reduction in criminal activities and low rate of accidents on Lagos roads on the ban on Okada, observers are of the opinion that there is urgent need to completely ban the activities of Okada riders in order to save lives.
The federal government is revalidating certification to continue enjoying export rights of shrimps and allied products caught in the wild to the United States market. And as prelude to re-accreditation, technical inspection team from the U.S. is assessing the level of compliance of operators with the Total Excluded Devices program. Michael Alale has details.
Although the prospects in the shrimp market is huge, with projection giving a positive outlook of $54.6 billion by 2027, but the interest of the global community is the protection of endangered sea species, while trade also flourishes. This informed the drawing up of Turtle Excluded Device program, since sea turtles are usually victims during seafood hunting. The Department of Fisheries has been strengthening dockside inspection of vessels on return from sea to monitor the installation and use of Turtle Excluded Device on shrimps. This exercise is in keeping up with the accreditation provisions after the success of 2019. The team, consisting of Jared Milton from the U.S. Office of Marine Conservation and Adal Blake Prince of Fisheries Biologists, carefully examined vessels to ensure that the gears meet up with specifications. The Director of Fisheries said the program is important to government's quest for sustainable ecosystem.
The third implementation is therefore an aspect of conservation tools directed towards improvement or sustenance of a marine ecosystem, and it is productivity value of our fisheries production.
Business operators like Marina Samuel are optimistic that sustained endorsement will enable the country expand its shrimp market, presently valued at $50 million annually.
Most of the customers we meet, they say Nigeria has the best shrimps in the world. The problem we have is we don't have enough vessels to, carry out more exports.
When concluded, the Tortu Excluded Devices TEDS program will enable the country to expand its global export of shrimps by 2 years. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. The news will be back shortly after this break.
You're welcome back, and time to join Benny Adams for business news. Benny, bearish or bullish?
Thank you, Jumai. Good to tell you that it is bearish. Well, as governments continue to create access to markets for made in Nigeria goods outside the country, private sector players are of the view that increased patronage at home will be a great booster.
Any supermarket you go, there is already competition that has been created within the supermarket with foreign goods, that their policies are different from yours, and they find their products in your own country competing with you. So the challenges are really large, and we are crying out for all these things. Let's have, if government cannot do, yes, business people can come in. Let's have our own malls. Let's collectively have our own stops.
And on the Nigerian equities market, investors gained rather than lost 28 billion naira as the market opened the new month of September in green. The financial services sector led with Sterling, GTCO and Fidelity banks coming top 3 traded stocks as investors in 3,575 deals exchanged 229.1 million shares valued at 1.7 billion naira. The market all-share index increased further by 0.11% to record 49,889.8 basis points. Market capitalization stood at 26.908 trillion naira. That is business news. Jumai, it's nice doing business with you.
As always, Benny. It's about that time of the year called the Ember Months, where increased activities of motorists are expected. The FRSC in this regard is putting in place measures to mitigate road crashes during and beyond the Yuletide. Charles Alpha reports.
Road crashes and death occur around every year, but the degree of occurrence in the month popularly called the Ember Months, September to December and sometimes January, presents dreadful experience because of heavy movement of vehicles. Demands, responsibilities and targets on individuals are also said to be high during this period, and as such the race against time, which ultimately constitute rush on the highways by motorists and consequently road accidents and fatalities. The Federal Road Safety Corps is not waiting for these to happen and has come up with ideas of mounting Ember Month special patrol and taking mega public enlightenment, aggressive rallies and logistics to motor parks.
All this exercise will embark upon elaborate studies along the identified black spots to determine the immediate and remote causes of the good loss. Mobilize relevant stakeholders to collectively address the challenges and embark on public enlightenment programs.
The Corps is also intensifying special enforcement operations on unregistered motorcycles nationwide and says it won't spare those using them to create problems on the highway. The Federal Safety Corps, as part of its plans, will be working with sister agencies to mitigate intake of hard drugs by motorists during the period. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
The Rivers State government has made good its promise with the completion and inauguration of the Amerelu internal rules within the stipulated one-year execution time. Ogidi Inyekwere reports that the former deputy national chairman of the PDP, Olabode George, was the special guest at the inauguration.
The internal road network in Omarelu community became very deplorable as alternative routes for motorists and other road users plying the Port Harcourt-Owerri road due to the impassable nature of the Port Harcourt-Owerri highway. The road witnessed heavy vehicular and human movement which outweighs the capacity of internal roads within a community, hence its total breakdown. A situation that made it very difficult for the locals to access their farms and even transport their produce to the markets and neighboring cities for added value. Just as the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike promised the people at the flag-off of the project last year June that the roads will be completed in 1 year, the governor has made good his promise.
We are awarded this road and our service. Finance will not be a problem. We are going to do it in such a way that the contractor will have no excuse to say, look, I left the site because there was no money.
Former Deputy National Chairman of the PDP, Olabode George, says the development projects executed by Governor Wike in Rivers State is an attestation that good things can still come out of Nigeria. He said the projects executed by Wike distinguishes him as one of the best performing governors in the country.
This is a characteristic which distinguishes him as an outstanding, brilliant achiever and one who continues to chart a way forward for modeling strong commitment to national development.
The Omarelu 13.4 kilometers network of roads has a 16.4 kilometers drains. In Omarelu, Ikwere local government area of Rivers State, Ogedi Ikwere, NTA News.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Abubakar, is taxing the Nigerian Society of Engineers on the need to provide local technologies that will drive mechanized farming and rural development in Nigeria. Ike Chukwundukwe reports that the minister said these at this year's Engineering Week and annual general meeting held in Abuja.
Government is suffering from oil theft and losses, which has affected the nation's economy. Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development is one ministry government is leveraging in its diversification drive. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development is tasking the Nigerian Society of Engineers to provide technology that will see the country lead in mechanized farming in Africa.
The ministry is open to and will continue to seek and expand areas of collaboration with professional bodies like yours.
At the center of the operation of the ministry, and all parastatals are laid.
I am glad to report that the branch has modestly contributed to the federal government's desire to diversify our economy in the post-COVID-19 era.
The Nigerian Society of Engineers says a lot of technology already in use by mechanized farmers in Nigeria were locally produced, promising to increase capacity of local farmers through strategic engagement with the ministry. Ike Chukwundukwe, NTA News.
For more on NTA Network News, Obehi is in Benin. Hello, Obehi.
Hello, Jumai. Good to see you. Two suspects, Juliet Agboifo and Wilfred Eragi, have been arrested by the operatives of the Edo State Police Command on allegations of kidnapping and attempting to sell a 9-day-old baby. Good Luck Enine reports that the kidnappers and the buyer allegedly negotiated 400,000 naira for the stolen child.
The divisional police officer in Ogida Division, acting on credible information, led his operatives to Teacher's House, Ogida Quarters, where Agbanifo, who was awaiting to procure the child, was arrested. She in turn led the police to meet with Wilfred Egagi, the alleged seller of the child. The case was transferred to State Criminal Investigation Department of Edo State Police Command. The suspect, Egagi, 62 years, who owns the clinic the baby was given birth to, and 45-year-old Agbanifo, a mother of one and alleged buyer of the baby, narrated their degrees of involvement.
This other lady linked to one of my houses.
I tried the baby, I paid for hospital fee 20,000 for the discharge of the baby. Because I need the baby, that's why.
You know the mother?
No, I know the mother of
Presently, the mother of this little baby is not known for now. That is why the investigation continues.
In the meantime, the Edo State Police Command says an in-depth investigation to unravel the true status of the alleged ritualist den situated along the Ekanwa Road axis of Benin City has revealed that the morgue operator Gabriel Joku Otu was not a certified mortician.
Because of the investigation, no fresh fault was found there. So there were shrines around.
The Commissioner of Health, Professor Obehia Korea, announced that operators or owners of mortuary are expected to revalidate their licenses with the State Ministry of Health before the 30th of September. In Benin, Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
The Federal House of Representatives is initiating a bill that will restrict movement of Nigerian doctors abroad after undergoing government-sponsored trainings. The Chairman House Committee on Health Institutions, Pascal Obi, gave this indication when the team inspected new projects at the Federal Medical Center, Asaba, Delta State. Ifeoma Okafo reports.
Statistics from the Nigerian Medical Association show that Nigeria has lost over 9,000 medical doctors to the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States in recent years. To meet this challenge in the budget, the federal government is walking the talk through a health reform committee to reverse the brain drain of the nation's medical experts. The House Committee on Health Institutions is in the Federal Medical Center at Asaba, Delta State to further discuss.
The government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is spending so much in training these consultants. And it is not only exasperating but very disconcerting that soon after their training, instead of at least putting in 5 years, 10 years in the country to pay back to the system that trained them, they run out to other countries for greener pastures.
For the Chief Medical Director, FMC Asaba, Dr. Victor Osiatuma, it is imperative to strengthen the medical practice. The committee later inspected ongoing and newly completed projects at the hospital as part of its oversight functions. The project inspection culminated into a meeting with medical professionals. Ifeoma Okafo, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Network News continues with Jumai in Abuja. That's right after this break.
You're welcome back. Sport Update is next.
The maiden Nigeria Golf Federation Summit for Captains went underway in Abuja Thursday with the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, tasking stakeholders on resuscitation of the Nigeria Open Golf Tournament. 72 golf club captains across the nation are brainstorming at the 3-day summit on golf development, which ends on Friday.
Find young golfers that are talented, bring them to us at the ministry. We will support them. We will work with the federation to develop their skills and advance their career.
I wish to appeal to the Nigerian Golf Federation to also improve on the hosting of competitions across the country and also harnessing the participation of Nigerian golfers in international competitions.
There is going to be academy in all the states of the federation now for golf. It's a big business and we take advantage.
In football, home-based Super Eagles of Nigeria continue to fine-tune preparations ahead of Saturday's Make-or-Mar final round second leg CHAN 2023 qualifier against the Black Galaxies of Ghana in Abuja. To be able to qualify for the tournament, the coach Salisu Yusuf team would have to beat the visitors who go into the crunch time with a 2-goal advantage following their first leg victory in Cape Coast.
I just want everyone to know and everyone to have belief in this team and in the technical crew that we made everything possible and turn around the results.
Nigeria is aiming to reach the CHAN finals for the first time since 2018 when they lost to Morocco in the final match. With sports updates, I am Chukunonso Mwabweze, NTA News.
And sport concludes NTA Network News. Thanks so much for your time. I am Juma Yusuf. Before we go, don't forget to join NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. Good night.